In the run-up to Infosecurity Europe, we caught up with Redseal Networks CEO Parveen Jain and EMEA General Manager Rob Pollard to get a grips with what is effectively a new tool for CIOs and CSOs, proactive security management.
So working with a financial institution that has their operations in 27 different countries, it was with the Chief Information Security Officer of this enterprise who was telling me a story that every month he has go to his CEO and the managing directors of all the regional offices that they have. Every month he goes there, he says, I had to go and tell them we had 20,000 vulnerabilities last month and we are going to have 21,000 vulnerabilities, and my team is always catching up. They can never get to a stage where they say we are really ahead of the game and all that.
A vulnerability scanner will return thousands and thousands of vulnerabilities, by definition, because a company has hundreds of thousands of hosts, so there will be thousands of vulnerabilities.
So this is something which is going on for months, and finally he says, my CEO asked me, is this something that I should be worried about? He says, I just could not answer that question because we had no sort of firm handle on what do we do about here.
If I take those hundreds of pages of vulnerability data, an organization can't patch everything all the time. So it will prioritize them based on the severity of the vulnerability and the importance of the asset. Now, if we look at what that vulnerability really means in terms of risk to the business, we actually use the NIST model for risk, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is there a threat? And is there a vulnerability? That's what the scanner tells us. But then what are the mitigating controls around that vulnerability? As in, can someone actually get to it to exploit it? And then what's the impact? So what could they do once they get to that vulnerability and exploit it?
And this is where Redseal comes into the picture. We told them that you had this sort of phone book of vulnerabilities, all over the place. We can help you identify the top 50 or top 20 vulnerabilities that you need to go after, which are the most critical vulnerabilities that you need to go after and fix those.
So what we're actually doing, because we understand the whole access model in the network and we understand where all the vulnerabilities are, we can take each vulnerability and work out, could someone get to it? And if they exploit it, could they actually then leapfrog on to another vulnerability to exploit that? Because if I take a server in a DMZ, for example, that has a low priority vulnerability, that might have only appeared way down the list on page 700 of my vulnerability report because it's a low CVSS score and a low asset value. So it never made it to that cut to get patched. But by introducing all the downstream risk, I then reprioritize it onto page 1 because it's a significant entry point to the customer. And that's how we differentiate vulnerabilities in terms of risk.
But when you present this report to your peers or to your executives of the company, you can show that you're making progress from 50 to 20 to 10 or whatever it is. But even your team will feel good about it, that they are actually taking care of the critical vulnerabilities and making sure that the infrastructure stays dependable, protected and compliant. And that is what Redseal can offer to our customers. That's a real benefit that the customers can see.